All right, guys, it's a beautiful day. I'm outside. It's about 32 degrees, so I'm going to be heading into my studio in a little bit to take you through a back and biceps workout. You will get rest intervals during every exercise. There are a few supersets that are done at the end. The beginning, single set exercises, they're rough. We start out with deadlifts, then we go into pull-ups, and then we have a fast and furious biceps rear delt finisher. I want you to try to follow along with me. I'll let you know exactly how many reps that we're gonna do, and I'll let you know exactly how long of a rest period that you should take. Before we get right into this workout, special thanks to Barbell Apparel for sponsoring this video. You'll see I'll be wearing the long sleeve fitted hem and underneath the Havoc short sleeve, and as always, my Ranger shorts. Without further ado, let's get right to it. Come on.
The first exercise is the barbell deadlift. For this first of 3 warm-up sets, before our main sets, you will be performing 12 repetitions. I have 225 pounds on the bar. The inner plate is a 45-pound bumper plate. The outer plate is a 45-pound iron plate. I like to use a fair amount of volume in my warm-up sets leading up to the main sets to prepare the muscles for what's to come. The back, especially the upper back, plays a significant role in the deadlift. You'll be driving from your hamstrings, glutes, and upper back throughout the entire motion. Keep this in mind for all sets of deadlifts. The rest period between all deadlifts is 2 minutes. For the second set, I added 25 pounds to each side, bringing the total weight to 275 pounds. You'll be performing 12 reps for the second warm-up set. You should be getting pretty warm by now, so if you layered up like I did, it's a perfect time to start to take off some of those layers. I stripped off my 25s and replaced them with 45s, bringing the grand total to 315 pounds for the third warm-up set, where I performed 10 repetitions. I added 25 pounds to each side, bringing the grand total to 365 pounds for the first of 5 main sets. I keep BCAAs with glutamine in my water bottle, and I sip periodically during my workout. Rest period is a perfect time to do it. For the first of the 5 main sets, you will be performing 5 repetitions. As I sometimes do, I decided to alter the workout. I removed my 25s, added 45, and decided to attempt 1 repetition at 405 pounds. This was an addition and is not included in the 5 main sets. Many of you know, but some don't, that I remove my shirt in order to show you exactly what muscle groups are working during every exercise. I then performed 1 rep at 405 pounds. I reduced the weight to 365 pounds, and I'm showing you a rear angle view so that you can see exactly how involved the back, the hamstrings, the glutes, and the calves are during the barbell deadlift. My grip and straps began to give me trouble at this point, so you will see me reset after certain reps to readjust my grip. I will be showing you a grip hack with straps at the end of the deadlift workout. This is set number 3 of the 5 main sets, 5 repetitions, still at 365 pounds. Remember, the rest intervals between the deadlifts are still 2 minutes. Again, a perfect time to sip on whatever you have in your water bottle. I chose the 2-minute interval today for metabolic conditioning, just enough time to catch your breath and keep your heart rate high. On to set number 4, 365 pounds, 5 reps. At this point, if you've done things right, your fatigue level should be very high, so please pay attention to detail and specifically form. My heart rate typically runs in the mid 160s to low 170s, so at age 52, it's relatively high. It is something that I'm used to, so plan accordingly. You will be out of breath. This is a metabolic conditioning exercise as well as a strength building exercise. Again, I typically like to sip my BCAAs with glutamine in between my sets. Don't drink too much because you don't want a full belly when performing the deadlift. On to the 5th and final set of 5 at 365 pounds. Again, keep in mind fatigue level will be extremely high, so dig in and make sure you pay attention to detail. This is typically the point in a very difficult workout where most people will stop and either move on to something else or quit the exercise. One of the things that has served me well over my entire career is the ability to push past discomfort and fatigue. And that leads us into the final set, 315 pounds, as many repetitions as possible. For the last set, I like to pick a realistic but extremely challenging number. So in my mind, I chose 15. My hip flexors began to tighten up a little bit, so I did a very simple exercise called a runner stretch, and I performed that 4 times. Since the deadlift can shorten up the hip flexors, this is a great stretch to do gently in between sets if your hips tighten up. Now on to the final and most difficult set, which I call the endurance set. This one separates the greats from the average. Again, at this point, your fatigue level will be extremely high and you are asking your body to go above and beyond. Please pay attention to detail and form. The key to success at this point is making full mind-body connection, understanding your limitations, connecting with your muscles so that you get the most benefit of the exercise and you don't injure yourself. I didn't quite hit 15 reps, but I did hit 13, and it absolutely took everything that I had to get it done. One of the things I like to do at the end of a deadlift workout is perform 10 runner stretches. This will open up the hip flexors if they are tight and will lead us into our next exercise, multiple grip pull-ups. To increase flexibility, you can take the opposite arm and reach across your body towards the posted leg. This will increase mobility and stretch in the hip flexors, as well as the abdominal wall, internal and external oblique, and the lats. If you're looking to increase abdominal contraction like I always do, take your belly button and pull it into your spine. This will allow a greater stretch in the hip flexors and allow your abdominals to contract and stretch at the same time. After completing the runner stretches, you will rest 2 to 3 minutes depending on your fatigue level and move on to the next exercise, the military grip pull-up.
All right, guys, I don't know if you could tell, but I had a ridiculously difficult time with my grip today. It's cold outside, my straps were dry, I was dry, I wasn't sweating much, bar was cold, and I could barely grip onto the bar even with my straps. So I looked for some chalk, I didn't have any here. Here is a hack that helped me get through the rest of this workout with my grip. All I did was take my straps, went right into the bathroom, and I wet down each one of my straps, smoothed out the water on it, and it gave me a ridiculously strong grip for the rest of the workout. I was able to hold on to it. I hate when my grip goes, my body's still good. I can't get those extra reps that I normally would have gotten had my grip been in place, even with straps. So give this hack a try it out if you're having trouble and your hands are slipping. All right, all done with my deadlifts. I am exhausted, it's Friday, but that's not gonna stop me. I'm not gonna quit. On to the pull-ups. Let's go.
You'll be performing 3 sets of the military grip pull-up. All 3 sets will be to form failure. That means you'll get as many reps as you can without breaking form. For the first set, I was able to perform 15 repetitions. The key is to lead high with the chest and stretch the bars apart left and right in order to get maximal contraction. Make sure that you do not round the shoulders at the top of the exercise to make sure that you keep the shoulders in a safe position. The pull-up is a great exercise to concentrate on abdominal contraction as well, so keep the abs tight throughout the entire exercise, letting them stretch at the bottom and contract hard as you get towards the top of the pull-up. The rest intervals in between the pull-ups are shorter than the deadlifts. You will rest 1 minute between each set. Obviously, fatigue levels will be higher for the second set, so you most likely will not get the same number of repetitions than you got during the first set. I was barely able to squeak out 10 repetitions for the second set. Keep in mind that the military grip pull-up places more emphasis on the back and slightly less emphasis on the biceps. That being said, you will try to pull more from the back and less from the arms. Remember to stay hydrated. This is a perfect time to sip from your water bottle. The third and final set will be extremely difficult. Make sure again you are pulling from the back, specifically the lats, stretching the bar out left and right to get the most out of the contraction. I was barely able to squeak out 10 repetitions on this final set, and as you'll see on the last repetition, I cannot complete a full rep. For me, it's customary when I cannot complete the last rep to rest briefly and then perform what I call a one-stroke penalty, which means I'll perform that 1 rep to finish the set and then add 1. After resting 1 minute, you'll be performing 3 sets to form failure of the parallel grip pull-up. I decided to perform the first set with an alternating knee raise to increase abdominal contraction. The parallel grip pull-up places slightly more emphasis on the biceps, but still involves a tremendous amount of back contraction. In order to create more abdominal contraction, keep your hips slightly forward during the entire exercise. I was barely able to complete 6 repetitions in the first set. As your heart rate will probably be high, the key at this point is recovering, lowering your heart rate, and keeping your muscles nice and relaxed. For the second set, I was able to dig a little bit deeper, and I ended up performing 8 repetitions. Again, if you want to increase abdominal engagement, like I always do during almost every single exercise, keep the hips slightly forward during the entire rep. Allow the abdominals to stretch on the way down and then to contract extra hard on the way up. Try not to pull from the hip flexors, but rather keep the leg relatively relaxed and squeeze with the abdominals. I use this rest period to attempt to keep my energy levels high, continuing to sip on my BCAAs with glutamine. For the third and final set with this grip, I decided not to do the alternating knee raises, but rather just concentrate on the pull-up. I still kept my hips forward to increase abdominal contraction. At this point, I was only able to complete 6 repetitions. After resting a minute, we move on to the fourth exercise, the chin-up, where you will also be performing 3 sets to form failure. Keep in mind that the chin-up places far more emphasis on the biceps with slightly less emphasis on the back. Remember to keep the hips slightly forward in order to increase abdominal contraction. As you'll see, I was barely able to complete 8 repetitions. At this point in the workout, I am only sipping on water. As with the first 2 pull-up variations, fatigue level will be very high during the second set, so pay attention to detail and hang in there. Just like the first set, I was barely able to complete 8 repetitions. Do your best to find the same pull-up line every time. Hang in there and try not to flail. At this point, there aren't too many muscles that are not working. And thankfully, the third and final set of chin-ups. At this point, you may think that your arms will actually fall off of your body, so it's important that your back and your arms work together to get the most out of the contraction. I was barely able to complete 7 repetitions for this last set, and obviously that means that I have to take a 1-stroke penalty at the end. You'll then move on to 3 rounds of the final sequence, the biceps rear delt giant set. For all 3 sets, you will be performing 8 double biceps curls, between 10 and 12 alternating hammer curls, and 20 rear delt raises. All 3 exercises are performed back to back with no rest. These 3 exercises make up 1 giant set. You will be performing 3 giant sets with 90 seconds rest in between. You may need to utilize some sort of momentum at this point in the workout due to fatigue. The key here is keeping the shoulder in the same position and controlling the weight throughout the entire motion. For the double biceps curls, I use 35-pound dumbbells, and for the hammer curls, I drop down to 25-pound dumbbells. For the alternating hammer curl, you will keep the dumbbells on the front portion of the thigh. This is to eliminate as much momentum as possible and keep the contraction as high as possible in the forearm and the biceps. You can increase biceps tension by squeezing your triceps against your lats and your lats against your triceps. For the rear delt raises, I utilize 30-pound dumbbells. Remember, you are working with high volume, which requires strength and conditioning, so choose your weights appropriately. For these giant sets, I use the same weights for all 3 sets. The goal here is to get the rear delts to contract without over-contracting the traps. So watch your range of motion during this exercise and keep the tension high in the rear delts. On to giant set number 2. Fatigue level at this point will be ridiculously high, so do your best to control your weights and squeeze your biceps as tight as you can throughout the entire range of motion. As I've stated in some of my previous biceps videos, most people make the mistake of losing contraction at the top and not peaking out the biceps. Again, slight momentum at this point is okay as long as you are able to control the weights and keep the contraction consistent. Remember to get those dumbbells in front on the thighs and keep your arms slightly bent at the elbow and maximize contraction. When performing the rear delt raise, make sure that you find a position that is comfortable for your lower back. One of the keys is to take your belly button and pull it towards your spine to create a stable base at your torso. The majority of your body weight should be held by your hamstrings, your glutes, and your low back extensors. We are finally at the last set in the workout. Pay attention to detail and form because this is where your fatigue level should be at its highest. You will most likely need to use a little momentum at this point, so use as little momentum as possible and maintain the highest contraction you can in your biceps. This is the point where you're not sure if you have anything left and your arms are absolutely on fire. Do your best to hang in there and maximize the contraction. "20 more rear delt raises and this workout is in the books. Do not underestimate this last set and keep your focus in mind. The idea is to get the rear delts on fire, and if they are, you have done the workout properly.
That was absolutely brutal. Decided to come outside, get some fresh air, recover, try and relax. That was probably one of the most difficult workouts that I've done in a long time. I want you to see what I go through during a typical workout. A lot goes into how I feel on a given day. So the things that I did leading up to this workout possibly could have fatigued me. I was absolutely wiped out after the deadlifts, during the deadlifts, and then the pull-ups were absolutely brutal for me. I'm sure they're gonna be probably brutal for you. And then of course, the biceps curls and the rear delts, barely made it through it. Make sure you get all the reps in. If you miss a rep, like I did on the pull-ups, you give yourself a 1-stroke penalty. So you rest for a second, get the pull-up, and then add one. So a lot of this is understanding your physical limitations and your mental limitations. Could you go that extra rep? Do you need to go that extra rep? Do you want to go that extra rep? For me, it's a battle between me and my mind, me and my body. I get the most out of my body every workout that I can, because you never know when the rug is going to be pulled out from underneath you and you won't be able to do it, or you can't do it. It could happen this afternoon, it could happen tomorrow. You never know. So make the most out of every workout that you do. Do it for yourself, do it for your loved ones, whoever you do it for, just do it. If you enjoyed this workout as much as I did, please subscribe to my channel and make sure that you work hard. Let's go.